Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. Time for me to review Geostorm, the movie that was released this year that stars Gerard Butler, Jim Sturgis, Andy Garcia, Ed Harris as well as others. And it was directed by Dean Devlin, who was the partner of Roland Emmerich while he was making all the disaster movies. Roland Emmerich. Dean Devlin was the producer on board on all them movies, so he's learnt from the best when it comes to disaster movies, or the worst, depending on your opinion of Roland Emmerich's movies. And this movie has been getting mixed reviews, I suppose you could say, and I'm being a bit kind there. The majority of the reviews I've seen haven't been particularly favourable towards this movie, so it's not one I've been rushing to see in any way, shape or form. I'm not a huge fan of Gerard Butler. I'm not a fan of his acting style, and there's not many of his movies that I've been a fan of either, really, other than 300 and probably a couple of others, but not many. So I've been in no rush to see this movie, but I've seen it now. And is this movie as bad as some people are saying? No. Surprisingly not. I have to say, and I'm quite embarrassed to say, actually, I quite enjoyed this movie. I thought it were a lot of fun. Is it cheesy as hell? Yes. Is the dialogue shocking? Yes. Does the story make any sense? Not one bit does this story make any sense. There's a lot wrong with this movie. Absolutely there is. But at its very core, it's a fun movie to watch, and surely there is a place in the market for movies like this where you can just put it on, have fun with it, turn it off, and not really care if it makes sense, or if it's going to win any awards, or if anybody's going to win Actor of the Year awards. And I can forgive this movie a lot of its sins for that fact alone, the fact that I watched it and had fun with it. I had a laugh with this movie. I thought it was great fun, brainless fun. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to pretend a movie's bad when I don't think it is. What we get with this movie then? Right. Well, at the beginning of this movie, Gerard Butler is this genius scientist. And I know, and that doesn't make sense, I know. He's a genius scientist who created this weather machine called Dutch Boy. And this weather machine, essentially, our planet is evolving into chaos. The weather is really bad. It's causing thousands and millions to die. So we create this weather system, or Gerard Butler creates this weather satellite system that controls the weather and makes it safe for the planet again. He's then fired from his post, and then I think it's 3 years later. I could be wrong. I think it's 3 years later. He's called back into action because Dutch Boy is malfunctioning. And he's sent back up into space to try and figure out why it's malfunctioning and why things are going wrong down on Earth in regards to the weather. And he uncovers a conspiracy theory, and his brother, who's played by Jim Sturgis, is down on Earth, and both of them, Gerard Butler in space, Jim Sturgis down on Earth, are trying to figure out and piece together who is doing it and why they are doing it before a massive geostorm hits the Earth and causes mass destruction. And that's the gist of the story. It ain't complex, don't need to be. It's a disaster type film, an effects heavy disaster like film. So I've given you some pros, I've given you some negatives. There are plenty of each. Yeah, I mean, really, it is hard to get past some of the dialogue in this movie because it is so shocking. And it kind of, when they say it, you cringe when they say he is so bad. It's almost like it's been written by a 12-year-old. Yeah, it does that thing, Dean Devlin, that Roland Emmerich does in his movies, where they switch to like China or Japan, and then they switch to Afghanistan, and then they switch to the US, and you know, it's a bit jarring in some of the scenes. The CGI, I think, for the most part, is pretty good. It does get a bit dodgy now and again, but actually, I thought the CGI was going to be much worse than it was. because the CGI in the trailers looked terrible to me, really bad. But I have to say, I was genuinely expecting to hate this movie. I really, really was. And I'm quite pleased to say that I didn't. And if you've been put off by this movie because of the reviews, I would say if you want a good laugh, a simple movie to watch, it's good fun, no real pressure, it's not gonna, annoy you, put this on. It's a laugh. It's far better than I expected, and trust me, if this movie was bad, I would have told you. Thanks for watching.